Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Tyler Janin. We're the Bunny Hug Farmers. This is our podcast that I'm doing with Dallas LeDuc. We're very excited to have you all back listening to us again. We're really enjoying doing these. We're having a lot of fun. We're meeting and talking to a lot of great people. So, Dallas, what have you been up to lately?
Well, we got finished hauling some grain and got the first calf hit the ground today. And I'm glad we only have 11 because God, cows are stupid. The brain must land in the calf. The calf is smart, bounces up, does its thing. The cow just walks the other direction and have no idea. So yeah, I'm stressed. And we only have 11. But you want every one of them to live. And my daughter's out there and enjoying it. And to get her involved in agriculture, having them 11 cows, I think is key on our farm. Because just to have that involved is major. Whether you're start off with cows and upgrade to machinery, and who knows where her life will bring her. But I got to aim her down that right path right off the word go. So between working in the shop and the first calf and feeding and getting ready for spring seeding, or whenever anybody's listening to this, the end of spring seeding.
I'm just sitting here playing my world's smallest violin, listening to you whine about calving 11 cows when we're having this nice March weather.
What numbers are you at now?
We've got about 100 left to go right now, but that'll drag out right till they go to pasture.
Yeah, I remember the days when our high numbers were 160. That was a lot of work. You were out there lots. But we got all the way down to 0, then up to 4, and then 7, and now 11.
Yeah, well, you got to have that homegrown beef too sometimes, right? Like, it's a lot better than that store-bought stuff.
Well, Dad always calls these cows as edibles, so. But I am really honored today to have one of my friends come on and join us today. From the other side of the border here, I'd like to welcome to the podcast Mr. Tony Fast Ag, Montana.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself there, Tony. I've known you for quite a few years now. We were on the Master Seeders panel with Seedmaster years ago. That's how we first met, and we've been on and off, pretty good acquaintances and friends ever since. So give us a little rundown on some history and, how you got your farm got to where it's at and where it's going to get to.
Well, to go way back when, my great-grandpa came over here from Mountain Lake, Minnesota area. There was a whole lot of the families from our area came from over there. Before that, during the war, they would have left Germany to go to Russia to here kind of deal to avoid the war, which I'm assuming was the Ukraine, but never kind of lost that whole track of that whole where exactly they came from and whatever. But moved out to Montana in 1916 because it was too wet in Minnesota to farm. So I think they got lied to. They said this was a semi-arid climate, and it's quite arid here. So the homesteaders were the people who took you out to homestead and pick your land were pretty good at making this place sound like a really great place to farm.
I would imagine the 30s were a very tough time for them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, our family name in Germany was Vandervesti. And then when they came through Ellis Island, they changed it to Vesti. And apparently the Fast sounded more American, less German. At some point they changed it to Fast. But there's 5 different Fast families that weren't even related that homesteaded within 10 miles of here at one point. So there's 2 of us left. Everyone else moved somewhere else since then. But I think that was probably the 30s is what did most people in.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. The names changed that many times and that many homesteaders with the last name Fast so close to each other. That's pretty wild. Speaking of close, Tony just checked on the old Google Earth image. From his farm to our farm, what do you say, 80 miles as the crow flies?
I think yard to yard we're 80 miles. Well, to your hometown. I didn't go try to find your yard.
We're only a mile or a mile and a bit out of town, so nice and close.
Yep. And then our closest fields are only 30 miles apart. It's basically neighbors.
Yeah, just over the hill.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, you did text me that one time wondering where the fire was during harvest. And it was halfway between us, I think.
Yeah, it was in between us, which is just wild because that's one thing we've noticed with this podcast. We've talked to guys from Winnipeg to Edmonton and into the States now, how vastly different a lot of farms are. And that's what I told Tyler. I said, well, Tony and I are quite similar. Our farms are not overly far apart. We farm very similar crops, between wheat and durum and winter wheat and peas and lentils and quite the same conditions. So now we get to share the fact that you get a little more rain over your way and I can just stay complaining at my side.
I think that's fake news. No, it is very similar. I think even the terrain. I was up at your place a couple springs ago. I mean, you got everything from flat to fields you shouldn't be farming because they're too hilly. just like us.
Yeah, but then, you want to make every acre profitable if it's going to be there.
Yep. Back to how we got to where we're at now. My grandpa that I grew up farming with, I was born in 1930, and so he was the youngest of his siblings, and basically out of high school age, I guess, would have told his dad, like, this farm's not big enough. Either you retire or move off the farm, or I'm going to move off the farm. And so they bought a house in town. My great grandparents did, and he took over the farm. And they would come out and help in the summertime. Especially, I have got aunts that are identical twins, so there was need for grandma came to help my grandma. Great grandma came to help my grandma to take care of the twins in the summer and stuff like that. Dad has three sisters and kind of got forced into the farm. If he was, I don't know what he would have chosen otherwise, but he's got some electrician background. Does a lot of woodworking stuff, or used to do that when he had time. But he was kind of you're the son, you're going to farm back then. I kind of always knew I wanted to farm. I spent a lot of time riding in the 1156 Versatile and my head bouncing off the back window, and you cross the furrows on the end when you're summer following, and spent a lot of time in the tractor growing up. So took off to welding school for a year, got certified. I'm a certified welder. I haven't kept that up because I don't use it a ton anymore, but spent a little time doing rig maintenance in the oil field south in the Bakken, which is east of here. And when that kind of couldn't spend as much time chasing rigs, we started doing some fabricating in the shop, and it turned into quite the project. A buddy was looking for something different. He was spraying weeds for the county and said, "Hey, are you serious about doing this hopper thing?" I did mention to him that I thought we should see if we could build hopper bottoms for grain bins, because steel price and stuff, there was no exchange rate really back then, so it wasn't any benefit to bring hoppers out of Canada anymore. So we could buy a whole bunch of steel shipped in here, flat material, and build hoppers for quite a bit cheaper at that time than what we could get them out of Canada for, or get them shipped in from North Dakota or whatever. We built hoppers for 3 winters. Would have been just married right before that all started, and had our first daughter, and we moved back to the farm because we were living about 30 miles from the farm. Because we were so busy with the hoppers, spent all weekend painting on what we built during the week because we only had one shop to do it in. And so that would have been back in probably around 2000 and we started that. So yeah, the second daughter came along. We were back at the farm for that here, living in my grandparents' house when they moved to town. So my girls would be 4th generation to actually live in this house. So quite a bit of farm history on the same family yard. So
That is something.
That is very cool. Like, that's one thing we all often notice there. A lot of the multi-generation farms, whether it's passed down to the girls or the boys, or it doesn't really matter. It's just key that a successful farm has to be multi-generations. There's not many out there, and I'm still looking to find the one that can, in this day and age, start off a farm right off the bat from nothing and go farming. Because if there's somebody out there, reach out to us. We want to talk to you. I'd like to meet the person that could start with nothing and become a full-blown operator.
One of the only ones I can think of is Gavin Spohr, and I'm trying to think if he's in Indiana or Illinois. And he started out with raising popcorn on 5 acres or something like that, and I think he's up to 2,500 acres now in probably like 6 years in the Midwest of all places. So social media really helped him get going though, with pushing the sales of popcorn and stuff like that online. So that would be one to try and track down. So you can get
That'd be
Gavin,
neat.
talk to him.
I know my great-grandfather, he homesteaded from France to Canada, and then he sold the farm at Assiniboia, bought the farm at McCord, and then he knew this farm wasn't very good, and he had lots of sons. So he had a couple of farms in Manitoba when he got later in his years, and he was actually looking at buying another one for another son up in Alberta when he got sick and passed away in, I believe, the later 50s. But so my great uncles had farms in Manitoba, and my grandfather had the original, or the second farm here, and that's that I'm still making payments on now.
Yeah, when I came back from college, I'm thinking we were somewhere around 5,000 acres, and that was right when we started going from, probably been chem falling for a few years. When the wheel boom sprayers came out, we kind of quit summer follow and started chem following, and did a little bit of continuous wheat on wheat, and then go chem follow, then 2 years of wheat, then 05 would have been our first year of yellow peas, and then from there we've been seeding continuous crop everything every year. But yeah, since 05 we've almost not quite tripled our farm. We're up to about 13,000 acres now, and think that's enough. You keep growing, and it just seems like it just takes that many more people. And we're doing it now with three full time. Well, Tim and I are full time, and Dad comes back in the summer from down south, and the girls help with harvest and try to talk a buddy here and there into running land roller and whatever else we can find for busy season. So if we keep growing, we're going to have to get more help.
And that's a whole new podcast itself, trying to find help and reliable help and housing them and making them stay, because, you know, we're in the same logistical area. We're a long ways away from a major center, and young guys, they got to spread their wings and head to town. I don't blame them. I did the exact same thing when I was younger, so they need their time off.
Your guys' immigration system's a whole lot easier to get in, because we had a couple from South Africa that were married before they came to work for us, and both South Africans. He was great help, and she helped with the grand grain cart and land roller, and weren't expecting her to necessarily work when they came, but we were working to get green cards and everything for them. And then they ended up going up to Canada to a seed farm up there somewhere, because it was, I mean, she could work in town the next day after they got there, as, you know, starting to get their citizenship. That was there's some loopholes there in Canada compared to what we got to deal with to get, you know, farm help that way.
I think they've closed some of them loopholes now, and yeah, and some of I'm finding here, I've often thought about mentioning this, and it's just, once you have a contract when you bring them over to you, but as soon as they get to the farm, they can apply for their Canadian residency, their permanent residency, not their citizenship. And so even if you have a 36 months contract or whatever you're at, once they get their residency, which could be less than 2 years, that contract is about as useful as toilet paper. And so we had the last guy do that to us, and he left us with 17 months left on his contract. Well, you know, we've already suffered through the language barrier. We've suffered through getting the instructions wrong because of the language barrier. We've taught him where the land is. We've taught him how to run the machinery. And you're finally at the point where you can just, he can handle it. And next you know, then he's walking out the doors. It's like, I'm done with that.
Yeah, between the welding shop, you know, that was a bunch of just 18, 19-year-old kids out of high school that knew how to weld from shop class, and I taught them what they needed to know to do what we were doing. You know, some days they didn't show up because he got arrested and
Or hungover.
Yeah, well, they worked through being hungover, but the one that got arrested surprised me. But got pulled over for drinking and driving, and probably was an MIP as well. Would have been an MIP as well back then. But we had, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 South Africans over the years, and they worked pretty good. There was one guy we sent home who had issues with directions and all that, and just couldn't quite cut it. But I told myself after that, I'm looking for American guys that are married and have kids, because they have to come to work every day.
Yeah, I'm the same boat.
But if you find a good one, I mean, like Tim's great. We're gone on a family trip or something like that. He takes care of chores and everything, and I don't have to worry about what's going on. But you know, they're few and far between. I ended up with a really good one with him.
Yeah, when he gets a hold of one of your cameras, he can make a pretty good video there throughout the day. So
Yep. Yeah, he does a good job. There's been some times where the guy had foot surgery and his dad's got cancer, so we were down spending time with them, and we had gone on a family vacation in the midst of all that. And I mean, there was 3 weeks I was gone. Well, I guess 4 weeks if you count sitting around with my foot heal. So he does a very good job of keeping up on showing stuff. And sometimes we don't show at all just because there's not context about what we film, and sometimes we forget to film and whatever. Yeah, he's very good at explaining what's going on. And he had a Instagram account before he came, so I knew he was comfortable, and didn't hire him because of that, but it was a perk. You know, it's better than someone that never wants to touch it or even wants to be showing on it. So he enjoys it, doing it.
So getting into that, now that we're talking about your YouTube channel, what was the big driving force that made you want to start one, and how hard was it to get your YouTube channel rolling to where it is now?
I couldn't even tell you what year it was anymore. It's been quite 5-6 years ago when it started, or maybe farther back than that now. But it was the only one that I knew of that was doing like something like what we're doing was Zach, the millennial farmer. And it was so different than the way we farm. And so I figured, well, let's show what we're doing. It's completely different equipment, different crops, because no one can say what we're doing then. Like, we can prove what we're doing on our farm and show people where these crops come from and whatnot. I ran across workers' videos when they were rebuilding the international truck, that semi they repainted and rebuilt. And I thought they were, before that I'd seen a video where they had pulled some injectors out of a truck and put it in their big bud because they had lost an injector during seeding. And I just thought they were like more of a mechanic channel. Didn't really watch any more of their videos. But since then, got to know each other through all the social media stuff we've been to, and got to go on some vacations with them and hang out with them. And when Scott heads back, that's Legarm's name if you didn't know. He's heading back to his in-laws across the country. They'll stop and spend the night here for a night or two. And so, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Small world becomes, big world becomes smaller all the time with the social media stuff. The channel takes a while to get going because before you can get monetized and all that, I think you have to have 1,000 subscribers and maybe 10,000 minutes of views, which could take a while. And then
it doesn't sound like a lot, but
oh man, you're sharing your stuff on Facebook to friends. Hey, go subscribe to this. Just, I don't care if you watch it, just help me get it started. And yeah, it'd be awfully hard to put as much work into it that it takes if it wasn't monetized. I mean, if this was just for fun, I would have lost interest a long time ago.
Well, back to what you said about Zach and your farms being so much different. That's part of the reason that Tyler and I decided we're going to do this podcast. There's some amazing podcasters down in the States there, but that's corn and soybean country, and it quite a bit different farming than we have, quite a bit different, geographics, countries, everything. And it seemed like the only podcasts up here talking about agriculture were heavily sponsored by a chemical company or a seed company. Well, I mean, Tyler's sponsored by Tyler, and I'm sponsored by me. We don't have any sponsors. We're just doing, not unless I'm thinking like Hawkins Cheesies. I'd be a big fan of them. I mean, last time we were trying to get that, was it Dots Pretzels to sponsor us? I mean, I'm really good if a snack food company wants to sponsor us, I'm game. But I really don't want to be sponsored and have them told which crop input I want to buy or where I want to buy it from by somebody else. I mean, if somebody wants to give me snacks, and I'm game for snacks. I didn't get this dad bod by not having my snacks.
You guys got to find a sweatshirt company to sponsor you with Bunny Hug for a name.
We're working on it. We're working on getting some merch. Maybe by the time this video comes out, we'll have some merch available.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, Tony gave me a hat, so it's only fair that I give Tony back a bunny hug.
There you go.
We'll have to try and get him one, so when this comes out, he can advertise it on his YouTube channel.
When I got to the border and said, "Is there anything I'm leaving in Canada?" I don't think I declared that hat I left you.
I'm pretty careful with that hat. I'm not a huge hat wearer. My head I like wearing a hat. My head just gets so hot and itchy, but I've kept that hat in. That hat has its own spot in the basement, so I know exactly where that one is at every minute. If I want to wear it, I've often thought I want to make a video someday, and I'm gonna make sure I'm wearing that hat. I just never got around to it.
On TikTok, I'll be watching for it.
Well, I remember.
You'll have to wear that one just before we release the podcast.
I will for sure. I'll be wearing that hat when I make my, whatever you call it, promo video for this one. But
there you go.
But back to farming a little bit, or wherever track we take this down. How did your last year's crop turn out for you? I almost hate to ask.
It looked really, really, really good till about July 10th. Is that when the furnace kicked on in the summertime?
Somebody left. The grandpa left it pushed all the way to the right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we had telling Tyler earlier today that, July 4th, Grandpa and Dad always say, to get you July 4th rain shower, man, you'd always have an above average crop. So we had a bunch of friends over the 4th of July, and it poured rain, 2 inches that day. And we're like, sweet, crop's made. And most of the farm even caught pretty good, at least an inch of that. So, but it came so quick, I don't think it really didn't last long enough when that heat hits. Man, we thought we had 40 bushel spring wheat out there, 50 bushel winter wheat, and 40 bushel peas. It was all about half of what it looked like. Really small kernels in the top of the head. Hauling some spring wheat right now that's 48-pound test weight. We got canola that out test weighted our spring wheat this year. It looks like rice. It's crazy how small that crop got from that heat.
So what variety of wheat is that?
That would have been a dark red spring wheat. That was a Winfield cropland variety, which I don't know if you guys have. That's like our CHS owns Senex Harvest States owns Land O'Lakes. They're all kind of the same company with the Cropland Winfield name. And I think it's one of those varieties that if you have the right moisture, I mean, it'll out yield anything out here. But I think it was just really, the heat was just absolutely the wrong time. Because we had some stuff that was planted. We had some trouble with the air drill cart pressure. And so we had some skips with that case disc drill. And Tim went back and reseeded that, and that would have been like almost in June. And that stuff the yield wasn't really, I mean, it was maybe a few bushels better, but it was 60-pound wheat. So just crazy how 2-3 weeks seeding time really, made that much difference. It's all timing.
We noticed that with the canola in this area this year. We had our canola in a little bit earlier, and there was a few guys around us that had their canola in later. So our canola was pretty much done flowering when the furnace turned on, and the other guys that had it in later, it was flowering all through that heat spell we had where it was 40 plus degrees here, speaking Canadian, and their yields were probably 20 bushels to the acre less on the canola than our yields were.
Well, and that's like our yellow mustard was like done flowering when that heat hit. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it's been nice and cool. This is great. And I think we averaged 12 bushel across all the mustard acres, which, Dallas, what's that? What's normal? Like a 20 bushel mustard crop's a home run.
Yeah.
Right.
As soon as you touch the teens or more, I always say you're going to pay income tax on mustard if you touch the teens. But yeah, I mean, I've been into the mid to high 20s on yellow mustard, but last year my yellow mustard, I don't think we made 6 on it. But I was the exact opposite. I was late, last stuff seeded, and it just got torched. But it was chest height and went 6. Like, it was disgusting. I had such a stand. But it's timing. But here's a funny story. I had a neighbor tell me the one time, when he was younger, he was at the John Deere dealership. One of the big farmers up there was talking, I'm going to be done seeding in 7 days. I got 2 air drills, and I'm going to push it hhard, and I'll be done in 7 days. And the old boy standing behind him, well, you'll be done in 7 days. Is it going to be the right 7 days? Like, when... most of the time in our part of the world, pretty well the sooner the better. Not too often the late stuff turns out better, but there is the odd time, like you said, your late wheat had test weight at least, where unlike your amber rice that you have there.
Really missed a marketing option or opportunity there, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
No, it was like our mustard was short too. Like it wasn't as tall as it wasn't even knee high hardly, and it was just all. Pods are all just grouped together, so it flowered, but then it never really stretched out as it was flowering. But yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Was that seeded with the 100-foot or with the disc drill?
That was 100-foot. We didn't have, and we could talk about this too. That 100-foot didn't really have a good way of putting enough fertilizer down, and that case drill didn't have a whole lot of faith in the depth would stay consistent for that many acres. Just the design of that style of depth gauge or depth attachment or whatever you want to call it was a little wonky, but we're good for peas and wheat. But we started the year with seeding all that mustard, that 100-footer, and we were using NPS and putting, 50, 60 pounds in furrow with it. And, all the years of Seedmaster, we never saw seed burn. But we were completely separating our seed and fertilizer with a Seedmaster. So just seed went down the seed knife and just fertilizer went down the fertilizer knife. We never put starter in furrow. We even split our peas back then, some down both knives, and didn't matter the seeding depth. They always came up so close together, it wasn't an issue. But the mustard, great germination, all real even. We ran out of NPS and had Co-op just blend us an NPS blend out of AMS and FOSS, and that probably killed about half of our canola seeds. So if the too much sulfur in furrow, just that there's a little bit safer fertilizer in NPS being that blend, because that's what 1238 whatever it is, 010 or something like that. I can't remember what the actual analysis is on it, but there's something about that form of sulfur in there that's safer than straight AMS. We're gonna split all the fertilizer, but maybe put 20 pounds of FOSS in furrow and put everything else down the mid-row banders this year for the canola.
So now you have 2 Borgo drills. Are both drills much the same setup, just different footage now?
No, the 100-foot's the hoe drill. 12-inch space with mid-row banders and the big cart behind it. The disc drill is 10-inch space and has mid-row banders and 650 cart. So they're pretty different, but there's always that. Man, I wish I had a disc drill for this field. Every year we have a weed problem or residue or something. So I was looking for a K-Heart Spider, and there was just no used ones around. Scott came down from the factory and he talked to me quite a bit. They want to make sure you know what you're getting into with those before you buy one, and everything was on board. We just couldn't find one. I ended up finding this one for a pretty good buy on this used one. Mid-row banders had never touched soil on this drill. It's a 22 model, and they just had all the fertilizer spread by the co-op where it came from. So got a pretty clean drill. But we do have a K-Heart coming this spring, K-Heart Spider, with a Batterstad 820 cart or 800 cart, remember what they said it is, that we get a demo for. They want us to put some cereals in with it side by side next to our Vergo, and then canola, it'll probably end up being mustard here at home with it, unless they let me keep it that long. So the 100-footer is going to get parked, and the 60-foot disc is going to get hooked to the 715 quad, and I don't know how fast we can go, but we might find out.
Oh, that'll be a great video, because there's only a few of them 7s out there, and I'm looking forward to watching that thing go, because that's one thing I noticed at our hills. I mean, I'm the same as my New Holland and your case, we're pretty well the same when it comes to power. And on the flat land, you can fill her full and you're good to go. But man, you come to pull up a 15-degree hill, I need another 400 horse.
Yeah, we seeded winter wheat with that 715 last fall, and I don't know why I didn't film more of it. I think it was more I was burned out on harvest videos, and you get behind editing, it's pretty hard to make yourself go film something. So we kind of missed out on opportunity of that. I did some footage with it, but not like I should have. But we seeded winter wheat onto a field that it's a pretty good test. There's about 4 passes I had to seed down with that 580 quad. And our 580 is dynoed and tuned. Like we tuned it and dynoed it and proved we gained 105 horse. So, and the base started out what the Nebraska University tractor numbers said were right. So we knew we had a good, strong tractor to begin with, and added 105 horse. So it was no slouch, but like you say, that full cart makes a big difference. But that 715, I had 1 hill out of 5 where I only had to pick up the drill once with that 715 compared to that 580 or 685. So there's a lot of difference there. I kept finding you kind of just get used to how your engine pulls down and what gear you're going to be in. And I kept catching myself going like 7.2 miles an hour instead of 6 miles an hour seeding winter wheat, because it just wasn't working on the flat ground like the old tractor does. So it's a whole different beast. I was a little worried that 715 horse versus 685 wasn't going to be enough difference, but it's definitely noticeable.
Yeah, the torque numbers are probably there. And imagine, I've never had a good look at the 715. Does it got more track on the ground than your 580?
Yeah, I think the tracks are at least 6 inches longer, and they're taller. So they're about a foot taller, 10 inches taller maybe. So they got more drive lug contact too. But it's a little bit bigger tractor. Just side by side, there's definitely, we went from a 450 quad STX that hood was 4 feet wide to that 580, and then out of the 715. Like, it's pretty crazy how big these hoods are getting just to get all the coolers inside of them.
The big question is, we're going to have video of Tim taking the mice out of the 715, because every year I get a kick out of the mice removal from your other tractor videos.
The 580. I hope not. We put a bunch of poison in that tractor when we parked it and all the way around it. So I don't know what it was. That tractor can sit for 4 days and there'll be a mouse in there. I have no idea how they get in there.
One thing I've heard guys do is they go out with a bit of granular phos and they do a ring around the tractor. And apparently a mouse won't cross fertilizer. Whether that's true or not, I've seen that on one of the 306 Farmers Club or something on Facebook. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'm not going to go spread a bunch of fertilizer around my machine shed.
Yeah, we've been throwing out those pouches. You guys have like pouches with little pellets in them up there too for mouse poison. Last year, we threw about half of a bucket out in that shed, that new building, and there was a handful. Every bag was empty. There was dead mice on the floor all the time we're throwing outside. And this year, they haven't been a whole lot of empty bags, so we don't have the barley bale sitting close to the building this year like we did last year, the hay barley. So I think that was a big part of it too.
Well, that's
We'll see. We'll know probably next week. I'll pull those tractors in the shop and get them ready to go.
that's what I noticed there too. One time we were picking bales there, and as soon as you raised up the bales, there was mice always scattering under them. And you're
That's nuts.
you're loading them on the trailer, and you're just thinking, I'm hauling hundreds of mice to the yard every load.
Yeah, I got buddy was hauling the bales up. He kind of the middleman between us and the guy that bought all that hay barley from us last year. And so he brought his dog with us when he was hauling all the bales. And man, that dog killed hundreds of mice around that when he was loading trucks. So pretty crazy.
Are you still doing the baling thing, or have you gotten out of that now?
We took our big batch of alfalfa out this last year because it's just the drought's been too hard on the land. So we never even put a bale up with a square baler last year. We still have it. Thought I had it sold this winter, but yeah, it's not still around. We do have some hay left yet that a neighbor's just putting up for us. So we're gonna actually take the disc drill and put some maybe half rate of hay barley into an 80 of alfalfa that's kind of getting thin, and that should make some really good feed to grinder feed for our butcher cows. So
How many cows do you have?
I think there's 10 of them out there right now.
Oh, so you're just like Dallas.
Yeah, but I don't have to worry about calving. I just sell them processed, so it works pretty good. You say you gotta have your own beef in the freezer.
It tastes better. It does. Did you ever find a back hood for your swather yet?
I did. That's a funny story. The side shields are still usable. I ended up ordering a new top, and let's see, was that the grill attached to that? I think the grill was attached to that too. So I took it into the body shop, and they got the side pieces kind of patched together and painted it up. Sold the swather, and we were going to go up and put the hood on for her, and the swather burned up the day before we were going to go up there. So I have a hood and parts in my shed yet.
That's not something you ever mentioned in your video, is it?
Well, it wasn't my swather anymore, so no, I sold it, and she'd been swathing with it for almost all season, and started underneath the cab. Imagine the conditioner bearing or something got going, and nothing you can do about that. And there's dry leaves on top of the conditioner chute. So yeah, that's I looked all over for a used hood for a couple of years and could not find one. Called Combine World and everybody up in Canada I could find that might have one. And thanks for bringing it up, Dallas.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I remember seeing it on the videos. It was ripped off. I remember even looking for one, and yeah. Oh, but here's another question for you. What's on the docket for seeding this year?
For crops?
Sure.
Well, we put way more winter wheat in than we've ever done. So probably double what we normally would do. But we had moisture and looked like it was going to be all right. Good start. So we had a bunch of winter wheat in. Probably about somewhere around 1,000 acres of spring wheat's going to be all, unless we have to reseed some winter wheat. So that's down big time from normal. Durum, waiting for my Ascochyta sample to come back on chickpeas, yellow peas, mustard, canola, and little hay. But I think we should be, I'd be surprised if we're not seeding before Easter this year down here.
I think we'll be the same up here too. I noticed there I had some winter wheat seeded. I didn't do many makers, only 500 and some. All of a sudden we got realizing, well, there's like 70, 80 acres. I made a video of this the other day of winter wheat left in the drill last fall. Into October, we basically dormant seeded that. Didn't think it'd even come up. It was just get rid of the seed. What are you going to do with 80 bushels of treated seed? It's just a pain. Seeded it, and then just, it's on our own land. It's bought and paid for. So seeded it, and then fertilizer out there, that's fine. Some of it come up, but I'm going to go 90% of it didn't germinate last fall. It was just too dry over there. I was out there a week and a half ago digging around, and what was growing last fall looks good. But there was already, 3/8 of a shoot, a little sprout coming off that dormant seeded. We got warm enough here last 2 weeks ago. It got it growing, and I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to get growing and go back into dormancy and come out of dormancy and make winter wheat is my plan. And if anything, I'm going to make videos about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's something they do quite a bit in central Montana. I mean, they'll seed if it's dry and you get a snow and a melt and it gets warm enough and it works. But man, unless we would never try doing that here. I mean, if we don't have moisture in the fall, unless it's like what your situation where it goes in completely dry and starts on its own midwinter. But last year it was our headlands were so dry just from the tracks getting pushed down and everything, and that was our problem. Is we had fall kill and what didn't winter kill. It was dead going into winter. It sprouted and it was in dry dirt and dry roots. So we should have done a lot more spotting in a spring wheat, but in the end, it really didn't make any difference. I think we probably would have done as much damage as what the spring wheat crop ended up being anyways. So
That's amazing sometimes with the headlands and compaction. That's where our compaction area is getting to be, is in the headlands where we turn, where the cart goes, where we load the trucks. It just seems like that one headland of the field just gets destroyed.
yeah, we don't see a ton of crop stand issues, but it was just I suppose there wasn't enough canola stubble standing there to shadow the ground and hold some of that moisture even before freeze up. So it was definitely drier than the rest of the field. So one of those years where it looked like it was going to be just fine. And then, it just didn't drain again. Wind blew. Like 80 degrees after you seed winter wheat doesn't do us a whole lot of good either.
No, not unless we got a whole lot of moisture coming down onto it, but
Yeah, then you want the heat.
yeah. But we've been so short of that vitamin H2O, it's getting a little sickening over here. But
Yeah. Yeah, and this winter wasn't exactly a gangbuster moisture year.
no,
Unless you put the snow out there, that's the only thing that's left. A few snow piles around the yard, then we push it out of the yard in the field. Otherwise, we're bare.
what do you push with? Skid steer or tractor?
Skid steer.
Those guys, eh? Oh yeah, see Tyler, he's a snow pusher with a skid steer here too.
We back in the welding days, we were building. I ordered steel to build a big snow bucket for the skid steer, and back then we had a 300S Bobcat with tires. Dad's like, "What are you building?" Like, we were a couple of us guys stuck around after everyone left. I'm like, "Oh, a bucket for pushing snow." He's like, "For the MX200?" I'm like, "No, for the skid steer." He goes, "That thing's too big for the MX200. It's like 3 feet tall, 3 foot deep, 10 foot wide. It is an awesome snow shovel." Or a grain shovel when you're cleaning out a building with grain in the skid steer. It'll keep a 10-inch auger full if you're loading out. But I'm like, oh no, it'll be perfect. When you get up to about a foot of snow, we move a lot of snow with that thing.
That's much the same with our Degelman speed blade.
Yeah.
The Degelman speed blade, I got nothing. It's not Degelman's fault. Just it would be a better blade on like a small wheel loader or something. It's just a little bit too much when you get in that wet snow or you try to turn. If you just got a straight shot you can go on, you can push like crazy. It's amazing what you can move with it. And you start spinning out, you can fold the wings in, so you're taking a little less so you don't get buggered up like you do with a bucket. But I don't know. We have a New Holland skid steer. Some people say, if you had a Bobcat skid steer, that wouldn't happen.
I know I will never buy another Bobcat or another skid steer with tires after having the second one with tracks. It is
Why would you say that? Just out of curiosity.
It is amazing how much more snow you can push. And we don't even have, we've got the all-terrain tracks or dirt tracks, not even snow tracks. And you start pushing, and if you start spinning a little bit, you pick up your bucket an inch, and you'll just start driving over the top of the snow, and you can drive over 2 foot of snow with those tracks while you're pushing snow. It doesn't make any sense. It's literally a snowmobile when you don't have a bucket on it. You can go drive through 2-3 foot of snow and over snow piles. It's kind of fun, actually.
We've had a dozen skid steers pass through our farm. My dad and uncle, they actually had a manure cleaning business at one time. They went through a few skid steers, and we've always either been a Case or a New Holland skid steer, and anybody knows Case and New Holland are the same thing. And a lot of the reason we've just stayed with that brand is because we have the dealer network right on our doorstep. We have had a Bobcat dealer for a number of years, but at that dealership, they couldn't service them. They had to send it to another dealership that they owned in the city. There is a dealership now locally that can do Bobcat, but I don't know, the Case of New Hollands just seem to work with us. And if anybody knows it has a fair bit of iron, it helps with your multiples discount. And I don't know, they just work for us. But we've always had a rubber tired machine. When we clean manure, we put steel tracks that wrap around the wheels, and then it's amazing what a skid steer will go through when you do that. So I would presume it's much the same as a skid steer that just has the rubber tracks.
And our tracks are like the 12-inch wide ones. They're not the 18-inch wide snow ones, and it gets around really good. It's on. We put they call it McLaughlin or McLaren, I think, solid tire on our S300, and that thing is the roughest riding thing you have ever been in. Just solid rubber on skid steer is not a good idea. I mean, I go pushing into rock piles and cleaning up scrap iron. Like, there's no worry about popping a tire, but it kind of just stays at that new building, and it's kind of our forklift and snow mover for over there. But yeah, I'm 100% sold on tracks on a skid steer.
You need them wheels on that one. They gotta have that, ribbed, almost like suspension in the tires.
I looked at those. They're about 4 times the price of what these were.
But if anybody, I don't have wheels on my JCB skid steer, so if anybody's looking to sponsor me on some wheels.
There you go.
But I had a wrecked an ankle when I was in my early teens, early 20s. It got so bad that my my left leg was getting smaller than my right. It was just my leg was so shot. When I went skid steer shopping, I made sure I was only going for the JCB or the Volvo with the side door. And around here with that mono teleboom and that side door, we love our JCB. It's just awesome.
I did look at the JCB with like that, and ended up buying another Bobcat. There are a lot more creature features in the Bobcat compared to the JCB, what I found.
I have ran one of them JCB teleskids or skid steers with the side boom, and it was an okay tractor, but I found with a bucket on right where you watch your cutting edge, it was really hard to see it. But like running a post hole digger, having guys up in a bucket, it was awesome.
Well, I love my teleloader. I mean, there's definitely the JCB's onto something there with the teleskid. And the side door is nice. Usually if we're doing any major stuff with the skid steer, it's a two-person job. Someone's grabbing stuff, so you don't have to get in and out a bunch. But I'm looking up Tweels right now. How much do you think a set of Tweels cost? For one Michelin 1216.5.
$487.
$1,200.
$12.17 per tire, American dollar.
That's almost about $1,800 Canadian.
Yeah, round that to $2,000.
You might as well call it.
Yeah.
That's per tire.
Per tire.
Right. So that's why I didn't put Tweels on, Dallas.
Well, Tweels, if you want to sponsor Tony, you heard it here.
They are cool idea. I mean, they airless ride of a air-filled tire. If they're not using that for a marketing slogan, they should be.
Yeah, and not to mention, once you have a skid steer, the skid steer seems like the cheap part to begin with. It's the 87 skid steer attachments you end up getting for it. Because I've had my attachments, hell, I've had Tony's attachments, and part of the things is you look at the Ritchie Brothers thing, and then you watch what they sell for, and you look at you're thinking, I went to school for welding. I can build that. And before you know it, I built the Tony the Tire Grabber. Yep.
No, that I got a neighbor the guy that bought our 450 quad, it needs tracks now, and he asked if I'd put them on for him, and I said, oh yeah, I can do that. And so we're gonna swap 36-inch belts off a 7,000 hour quad track, original tracks on that tractor yet for, I don't know if he bought 30s to put back on or 32. I think they're 30s. But I told him I want all of the used tracks because I want to build snow pusher for my skid steer for the other building out of the track. And then you don't have to worry about pushing rocks and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Build one big enough to put on the front of the payloader, like a 12-foot, 14-foot wide one that's maybe be 6 foot tall that I can just hook on the bucket.
So what we do on our farm so we don't push our gravel out is when we get our first snowfall is we got about 6 tractor tires and they're kind of in a diamond shape. And we'll drive around, and it'll make a hard pack. You got to leave it for a couple days, and it'll almost make a layer, like an inch of ice. You still do get a little bit of gravel you push out, but it eliminates it by about 90%.
Yeah, I don't touch the snow unless it's drifts. Usually, like you say, the first time, and the girls used to pack it all down, pulling sleds with the four-wheeler around the yard, and the truck traffic and stuff would do the same thing. But yeah, that helps a lot. That new building's got so much open space that the wind blows through there, or bins that gather the snow and drift, and so that's one of those we just try and push to the edge of the gravel so we can reclaim the whatever rocks go with it.
We're the same way. We push it into the one spot in the bin yard, and it all melts out, and so the gravel that we've shoved in there is just there. As long as you don't shove it too far and end up with the lawnmower getting it. But that's one thing. Once you have a skid steer, I think we make the last payment right away here in ours, and I'm like, I don't know what we did with before we ever had this.
We used it for building hoppers. Like that thing ran probably 2 hours every day when we were building hoppers, whether it's bringing steel in, whatever, taking the cones out. We used a forklift and the skid steer to take them out of the shop when they were done. We even used them to lift the sheets into the cone shape. We build a hopper upside down is the easiest way we found. And so you put a gym boom or whatever you want to call it off the end of the forks and 2 chains at 4 points welded to the sheets and pick it up and make it do its little shake so it makes a cone and set it in. That was we joked that was our favorite tool in the shop when we were welding was the Bobcat.
They definitely save your back, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. If you don't beat it up riding it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see what I really want to see on a skid steer is somebody to put an air ride cab on one.
Yeah, we had an air ride seat in that 76 Bobcat, but it's just the seat. It's not the whole cab. That would be something.
Yeah, that's the way our New Holland is. Or the past 4 skid steers have had a air ride seat in them. But in about 5 years, we'll put 2,000 hours on a skid steer, because in this time of year when we're cabbing, that skid steer goes out and it helps feed every day. It pushes snow. It cleans sheds out when we're moving manure. So it gets used just about every day around here.
That's a different. Our Bobcats are, boy, I think it's an '09 somewhere. Yeah, it'd be about that. We sold the cows and bought a skid steer with the money back in around that time. I don't think we've got 2,100 hours on that thing. And those hours are idle time around the yard. Like, it's basically our forklift and moving stuff and pushing snow is all we use ours for. I was just going to ask how many hours you put on them if you had that many of them.
Yeah. No, we normally just nicely get them paid for, and then it's time to get another one.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle we live in.
Next payment's coming up here, and we haven't hit the 1,000 hours mark. But I mean, ours is still ran, especially during the summer. It's probably started 4 or 5 times a week. It's the pound forks, it's the bucket, it's the tire grabber, it's the man basket. I got a claw for it for ripping posts out, and you can't ever have enough attachments. I got the dual box blade for the front. Actually, Tommy was doing the yard today. It's just rooting that gravel up here. You're probably still pushing snow and ice, and Tony and I are cleaning the yard up, getting the gravel all dried down.
As we're recording this right now, outside, it's like being inside a snow globe right now. So we're getting a little bit of snow here. I wish I could send it your guys' way, because I'm sick of it, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's 30 degrees outside here, which, what's that, -2? -1?
-7 Celsius here.
Listen to this, because we've been filming a few now, so we come get spring seeding. I've had a lot of guys come up to me, said they're planning on listening to it come spring seeding when they're tired of all the other stuff. So this will be the end of seeding when you're listening to this one, and we're recording it in middle of or beginning of March. So
it'll be like day 3 when you're like, yeah, there's a radio in this tractor.
Yeah.
Start turning the podcast on.
And folks, it's gotten a lot better. I've got a better mic, and Tyler's got the editing down to much better. So if you got this far along in listening to him, thank you. We're just going to keep getting better.
Yeah. So one thing, Tony, I've noticed on your channel is you've got a fair collection of semis, or you call them semis. You kind of got a little bit of everything there. You got Kenworths, Peterbilts. What else do you have?
I had a Freightliner, but I sold that to a buddy. He needed it he had a wet kit on it. He needed it for running a silage trailer, so don't have that anymore. Yeah, and I just bought another Peterbilt. The white, and kind of getting a white and colored fender theme going on here. So yeah, the first semi, well, let's go way back to late 90, 97. Dad and Grandpa were looking for another seed truck, and we started going to farm auctions, and box and hoist trucks were 10 grand more, or probably 5 grand back then, more than what you could buy a semi for. And so they bought a semi and got a flatbed trailer to haul liquid fertilizer on it, and used the truck that was hauling liquid fertilizer in the box to seed truck. So I made the switch, and that would have been a 90 Kenworth T600 with a 4 1/4 cat and a 9-speed. And so they've kind of started with Kenworths and kept going with Kenworths, and we bought that set of steel Super Bs kind of as an experiment to see how they'd work for us for filling the air drill and how we liked hauling with them and stuff like that. So that was successful. So I ended up buying this set of Load King Super Bs. I'm probably saying all that wrong, but
he sounds right to me.
You say Super Bs too, but
yep.
These Super Bs were way over in Ontario at Transit Trailer, and they'd showed up on Kijiji. I'm probably saying that one wrong, though.
No, that's right, too.
Wow, doing good. This
doing good. Let's keep this rolling.
English Canadian translation thing's working out, huh?
We just got to get you saying A.
Well, that comes out, but guy had ordered 2 sets of trailers and only took 1, and so these ones are still pre-COVID price, or early COVID price at least. The price jump hadn't happened on them yet. So, and they had the red subframes and red tarp, and I didn't have a truck that was red or white. I'm like, well, I want at least an all white or a red truck or whatever, and ended up finding this one down in Nebraska. It's supposed to be an auction time truck, and the guy got nervous about the market softening, and so he told me, I said, well, will you pull it off auction time, because I'm leaving like 2 days before the auction's supposed to happen to head back home. And so he figured out what it was going to cost him to pull it off the auction in fees or whatever, and did that, and called me, and I said I'd take it. And That's how we got into the Pete. I wasn't really even looking for. I was looking for a color with a cat more than I was anything, and that's how I stumbled into the Peterbilt world. So, but yeah, no, that's trucks are fun till they're not.
Don't you say trucks are dumb?
Well, they're fun till they're not, and then they're dumb.
Yeah.
Being that Super Bs are kind of a more of a Canadian thing, in Montana you have all your bridge weights and your axle spreads and whatnot. What was the big thing that made you go to a Super B versus an A train?
I just thought they'd be a lot easier for the 4 compartments to begin with for filling the big cart, and just being able to back them up. And with exchange rate, they're cheaper. I bought those steel ones, and then started looking for these aluminum ones. And some neighbors actually ordered 3 brand new sets of the Load Kings down here. So there's 4 of them running around this area now. But being able to back them up and all that just made more sense, and the 4 compartments, I guess. So with the pusher axle on the truck, it actually gives us quite an advantage. I mean, not over an A train, but for what they are and how handy they are, the capacity for, in the field roads and stuff like that, they're pretty hard to beat. I don't think I'd want all my trucks pulling Super Bs, but triple axles fit pretty nice too yet for us.
Are quad axles much of a thing in Montana?
There are some quads around. They're usually the guys that are, they're all got to be 53 foot long and running, over the road probably to make those pay. But a lot of 50-foot triples in our area.
So what can you haul legally between your triaxles and your Super Bs?
Triaxles with a pusher on the truck are legal for $98,000, and then they allow us 10% to the second scale. So if we get pulled over by a portable, they'll allow us 10% on each axle group. But if we were to end up going through a scale after that and they knew we were pulled over, then we'd be overweight at that second one. But off the farm, they give us that 10%. So $98,000 for that, and those trucks weigh about 35,000 empty. So we're like 11, right at 1,100, 11 and 15 bushels legal. The Super Bs in Montana without a pusher, I think, are 106.5, what they're legal for, and they weigh 40,000. 41,000 empty, I think is what my people.
Yeah, you'd be around that 40,000, 42,000.
Yeah, I think I've been full of fuel on 42 on that Pete. So that's what basically they're almost
about 1,600 bushels roughly.
That's you guys can haul 1,600 on them.
About legally, yeah, roughly.
Yeah, so we'd be legally down here. We'd be like 1,100 on either one. But if we throw a 10%, well, then we throw a pusher axle on the truck. Then that would be a non-pusher truck. So we throw a pusher axle on the truck. We go up to 116. So we gain 10,000 pounds with our pusher axle, and it only probably adds 1,000 pounds of weight.
So you're not gaining a whole lot over the triaxle then versus the Super B.
No, but if you take 116 times 1.10%, 1.1, we end up hauling about 125 on them. So 1450, bushel wise versus 12 at the most with a triple is probably all we haul. 1,200.
You're still getting 11. You're still getting 250 to 300 more per trip, and that adds up in a hurry.
Oh yeah, especially when you got to wait in line for 3 hours.
Because that's what the 2-hopper triaxles up here. We're legal for about 1,125 bushels on the lighter trucks is kind of what we can get to the elevator legally. So we keep them in that range usually.
So that's basically the same as us then.
Yeah.
We're just tandem axle grain trailers on our farm, and you can get right around that 1,000 bushels is about all you can carry on a load legally with our trucks anyway.
You lost a little bit of weight when you went to that last Load King, right, Tony? Because it was shorter?
Yeah, not as much as we thought we would. We went 51 foot Wilson with aluminum subframes and a third hopper out the back to a 46 foot that's taller. I think the old one was 78 and this new one's 82. It's actually, I think the cubic foot on the build sheets or the drawings, they're almost the same capacity cubic foot wise, and the Load King is 6 feet shorter, 5 feet shorter. So that going taller sure helps. But I haven't even drive that. I did pull that trailer home to get it washed up when we brought it back. But Tim hauled those 3 loads of canola with it, and that's all we've used it for so far.
Yeah, that video's too new.
Yeah, but no, I'm excited. Like I should have bought a couple of those, but ended up we sold our 51 foot Wilson and our 43 foot Wilson, and so I found another 50 foot used white Wilson for this new Pete. So Did a bunch of shuffling. Sold 2 grain trailers, bought 2 different ones.
Well, if you want to keep with that white and color theme, I have a white Pete with blue fenders, and I probably could be persuaded to sell it to you if you really asked nicely.
I want nothing to do with Canadian trucks because of the salt they're on, unless they're new enough.
Oh, that one come out of BC. It's just a wreck.
No, I don't know. We've got a couple, or 2 W900s that don't have pusher axles on them. We've been kicking around day cabbing them just because they're basically field trucks. They don't even really go to the elevator much. So they need paint anyways. It'd be a lot easier to paint half a cab than just a cab instead of a cab with sleepers. So need one with orange fenders to pull the dash trailer, and don't know what we're going to do with colors though. I haven't got brave enough to paint a truck yet either.
That'll make good videos.
Have you ever checked out Twin Sticks Garage? He's a guy up by Edmonton, Alberta, and he's an engineer. He's just doing this for fun. Every Saturday he works on restoring semis. He's got a 359 Pete that he's just working on finishing up. He just painted it, and here last winter he painted it's a 70s Kenworth that is probably the best Smokey and the Bandit replica there is out there.
Really?
Like he went to such far lengths. If you watch in the movie, the stacks aren't quite even. He went to such far lengths, he has that. One
Really?
stack is a little bit taller than the other. He has the right interior. He's got the CB. He's got the police scanner. Even went as far as buying the little calculator that Jerry Reed had on the dash.
That's pretty
He's just on YouTube, Twin Sticks Garage. I watch it every Thursday. It's pretty entertaining.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, that was my other thought of college, was I was going to go to diesel mechanics and auto body and then work on, buy wreck trucks or whatever and resell them. But come to find out, I do that without a education too, I guess.
So what are you going to do with the bunk on that white Pete that's got the bit of a boo-boo on there?
I don't know yet. It's a 295-inch wheelbase, so it's long, so I don't want to just day cab it. And, I want the tool storage under the bed for, that's the only reason why we run sleepers, and the leg room for driving. But you put a fat boy kit on the cab, on the back, but I don't know what we're going to do with it. Someone did send me a picture or send me a link to an Amazon All Better Band-Aid sticker I could put over the top of it.
Oh, yeah. That'd look cool.
Or fixed it. No, I thought about putting the farm name on a piece of polished stainless, and putting it over it, but it's just kind of in an awkward spot. That actually happened in Glasgow. That truck he bought it in Iowa, but he was hauling for neighbors off their ranch up here, and I saw that. I'd see it go past every once in a while. I'd go and get loads from the feedlot up there, and here was sitting in Glasgow. He was making a corner, and car tried cutting him off, or he swung wide with the cattle pot to make the corner, and someone ran into the fuel tank, and I'm guessing the mirror must have done that damage to the sleeper. But so yeah, I don't know. Still haven't. It's on the opposite side when I walk in the shop, so I don't see that gash. So I kind of forget about it till I go walk around it.
Till they bring it up.
Yeah. So no, I don't know. You got any suggestions?
Unless you can find another sleeper off a truck somewhere else. Put a coffin sleeper on it.
The problem is it's one of those unit-built cabs that are taller than a regular flat top, so you've got to find a unit-built sleeper and put a cap on it to match the height, or put a whole new cab on the top of the cab, or cap on the top of the cab. So it gets to be, it's a big project to flat top one.
And it would get pricey just to change that whole side sheet there too.
Well, it's $150 in about 6 days of work, I think, to do that. So I honestly was wondering about you can reach up from the bottom to it, between the two walls, inner and outer wall of that sleeper. So I thought if I could start pushing it out and get it kind of straightened out, and then try and spray foam it so that no moisture could get up from the bottom, seal it up, and give it some strength, then it wouldn't be so bad to body fill it, and just try and repaint that side of the sleeper would probably be the easiest, but we'll worry about that next winter.
That sounds like a farmer fix if there ever was one.
Because I said spray foam? No, I don't know how else you would do it unless you change that skin like you're saying, but I don't know. The other thing I thought about doing is just cutting a section out and then slipping it in and just re-riveting it in so it made it look like there was supposed to be a line, something there. Yeah, nothing's going to look right unless you body fill it and paint it or replace the skin.
I wonder if you could get a guy that's really good at welding aluminum and have him weld a whole new piece in. And then get a really good auto body guy. You probably could blend it enough where only a trained guy.
I don't think it'd be that hard to blend it. It's just none of the shops around here have a big enough shop to blend that big of an area. I can get it ready to paint, do the body work on it and everything, but I don't know. I've never messed with blending. I painted truck frames, and we painted, how many hundreds of gallons of paint I went through painting hoppers, but that was an airless, so that's a whole different game than a gravity feed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions.
Well, you'll get lots of them, especially on your channel.
Yeah, day cabinet would be probably the least amount of work, but then the frame's got to be stripped and it needs to be blasted anyway. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That would be a heck of a long truck.
It would
my
look
God,
cool day
5
cab.
day cab. Holy hell.
Pull like a stone boat with that gap between the cab and the trailer, though.
Well, when your pogo stick's like halfway between the cab and the trailer,
Yeah.
instead of right behind the sleeper.
Unless you do one of those airlines that are on the bumper of the truck and hook up underneath the trailer, but it's kind of a pain with your other trailers then, too.
Yeah, that's how this truck was set up at one point. It was actually set up to pull propane tanks in North Dakota originally, I think. It says built for Tioga Express, which is a trucking company in North Dakota that pulls propane and fuel trucks maybe too. I don't know.
One question I have to ask, between the Kenworths and the Pete, do you notice any more legroom in the Petes versus your Kenworths, or not even noticeable?
I think they're about the same. The cab doors close up nicer on the Petes, and the factory fan is a lot better in the Pete. Now with those Soaring Eagle boxes we put in the Kenworths, that helped a lot get that airflow up. And they're lighter. I mean, that fiberglass hood on a Kenworth is heavy compared to the hood on a Pete.
Yeah. If I get one of them fan cab kits there for my Kenworth, can you send Tim up to install it?
Yeah, you did pretty good on those. We got one left to do yet.
Good.
But they think you can do them in a day now.
Okay.
You got it kind of figured out. But worst part is if the truck's been on any salt, those factory air conditioner lines are hard to get apart. So good luck. Good luck to you, Dallas.
I'll need it.
And it's kind of a one-man job because two guys can't really stand there and do that. To get in there, there's just not enough room for two people. So it worked good for him to start with the first one and just keep on rolling with them.
Especially when you have so many of the matching trucks. That's what I find even with our matching combines. Yeah, they're old and wore out, but at least the parts are roughly the same and they're built the same.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like we've got three of our trucks. One of the Kenworths and the two Petes have the same suspension. So we have the same airbags around and all that. So that's kind of nice. At least they're built by the same company. A lot of the Kenworth built parts match up.
And the same with now that you're going to all them Load King trailers. Hopefully they'll keep the same bags and stuff for them.
I almost ordered a triple hopper Wilson 50 foot, but that price on that Load King with exchange rate was pretty hard to pass up.
Isn't that amazing? Because up here, the Load King's more money than it is for the Wilson. And you can get a Wilson or a Load King cheaper down in there, made in Canada, than you can. Amazing.
The dollar for dollar down here, well, the Canadian price on that Load King and a Wilson basically spec the same. We didn't have like the interior lights and the exterior hopper lights like the Load Kings have, but it had fenders, air inflation, 3 hoppers, 50 foot, 82 tall, 102 wide, like the minimizer plastic fenders, all that stuff. I think it was about $16,000 difference list price, Canadian dollars versus US dollars.
That's
so
huge.
You take the exchange rate off of the Load King. Like the Load Kings are more. I think the Wilson was around 100,000, and the Load Kings are what 118 Canadian, but that turns into $85 with exchange rate, 85,000. So, but yeah, no, they're
every dollar counts.
Yeah, I can't say I've got an opinion one way or the other right now on which trailer I like better. I don't have anything that's really turned me off about the Wilsons, and there's nothing like super superior about the Load King. But I do like the one thing that drives me out about the Load King is that front hopper is shoved up into the landing gear so far it's hard to get a air drill conveyor underneath of it if you're not lined up just right. You gotta be pulled ahead a little further than you want to be, or else you hit the bracing. Wilson Super B's down here were $40,000 more or something like that.
Yep. So it's just, and that's the big thing is we have to use these trucks. I mean, we haul grain to the elevator with them, we haul grain off the combine with them, but then we also use them, and they're not all perfect. To get the conveyors underneath for these big air drills is you got to be a wizard on that remote to wiggle and jiggle her underneath there. Maybe one of them haul all like side shoot dump delivery for loading the air drill would be nice, but then it's just a 1 month of the year trailer that's really good for nothing else besides that.
Unless you were spreading fertilizer a lot with it or something, that'd be, an in-shoot one would be nice. I like to pull up, swing up parallel to get the cart parallel to a field road. And I kind of got my marks figured out where to turn. and I can I call it my mic cord because I stole that idea from Mike Mitchell for throwing a rope with a 2x4 on the end and to get my spacing right. And pull right along, and I fill by myself, and I think I can fill that 1,300 bushel cart in like 35 to 40 minutes if the truck's full for me.
You
So
stole that idea from Mike Mitchell, and I stole that idea from you, and I made a video about it, and everybody's like, no, you stole that from Mike Mitchell. I'm like, no, I stole that from Tony Fast. He stole it from Mike Mitchell. I don't care.
I
It
used to
works
just
great.
I used to just step it off and put a mark in the dust or throw my hat down or something like that. But that that works pretty good.
Yeah, it's exact
So,
every time.
yep. Unless you're uneven. The worst part is when your truck's higher than your cart, then your conveyor hits your cart. You don't have enough clearance. But so no, that's lots of tricks. And if this whole YouTube thing, if one person's learned one trick, I guess it was worth it. So thanks to Alice, you've made it worth it for me now.
Oh yeah, I shared it. That was probably at that time was one of my biggest videos. That was 100 and some thousand views for myself on TikTok with that video. That was, like I said, I'm kind of lazy with my TikTok. I made that video, edited that video, and uploaded that video before we were done loading the drill that time.
Well, that's because you have a Matterstad cart.
Oh yeah,
It does take a long time to fill that 600 bushel tank on the front of a Burgo cart, though.
Back to your videos there, Tony. Do you hire out your editing or do you do that yourself?
We've tried to hire it out, and there's so much little just like, I don't like the way that sounded. That's not what I meant to say. That comes across how I didn't think it was supposed to, how I meant to say it. So much of that stuff would get missed, and like, the first guy is a great video editor, doesn't have a lot of ag background. So what he was interested in from the video and what he cut out, like the farmers would have enjoyed. And it ended up almost being where by the time you proof watch it, send it back to him and say, hey, at 3 minutes, take out this phrase or whatever, that it was like, yeah, it's just not, like, I'm not gaining any time. Like, I just wanted my time back. And then we worked with another company that had a super great video editor, like is in ag, does a great job, like does an awesome job with drone clips, all that stuff. And they got busier where they hired an intern, and like I don't think I've spent time on a video. A 20-minute video usually starts out with like 50 to 40 minutes of clips, and probably 40 minutes would be pretty average. You basically cut out about half by the time you start talking to when you hit record, when you start talking, you cut that out, cut the end out, try and keep it moving fast enough so it doesn't get the dead spots in it or whatever. Like 2 hours to edit that video for me. 3 hours if there's drone footage that I've got to sync the timing with the music and everything to it. I got one of those videos they spent 12 hours on. I'm like, maybe if I had 1 million views a video, this would be worth it. But like, I can't lose money on these videos. I can't pay you more than what I'm making. When we get super busy, like pretty much everything's in chronological order. Like that's why you'll kind of see stuff. Tim says something, I say something, Dad says something, Tim says something. Like I don't like to do like my whole day, their whole day. Like that doesn't work. It kind of all, I like the way it just flows together, jumps back and forth. Amy will throw all that in and edit that like during seeding and harvest when she has time. So at least we kind of keep them flowing. But yeah, we've been doing it all. Couldn't even tell you how many I've done now. And like that's the time consuming part of it. But and there's like no how-to video on how to be a YouTuber on YouTube. Like this is all learn as you go. Ask questions and
normally every video is about a month behind real time.
that's probably where I was almost caught up here. Like when I had surgery and was sitting around, did a couple of videos while I was recovering and stuff, and so I was almost caught up. But then it's stuff happens. You get stuck doing a podcast and you could edit tonight. But yeah, no, there's been times where I've been out of footage. And I'm like, I was really good about 2 videos a week. Like it's Saturday, Wednesday, or if we had lots of content, like a Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, or something like that. And there's been times where I've been out of footage, and I'll just be like, no, we're gonna do a little welding project. I'm just gonna film the whole thing and make one video out of it. And I think that would be kind of easier because I think that's kind of when I've been out with Larson's. Chad will film like a day and that's a video. And so he'll film like 3 days a week for 3 videos a week and not film every day. So the problem with that is if you get something that you missed, if you would have been filming all the time. But I don't know. It's I don't know what the answer is.
Entertaining there, like when the video's done right with the drone footage, and when you're doing the right commentary and you're explaining things and you're showing how it's done, and everybody's got their opinion, which is awesome. But it's time consuming, and up here, I guess I'm just too lazy to want to do that, because I do a TikTok video. Like I said, I made that one, edited out when I didn't want, uploaded it, tagged it before we were done loading the drone.
You're just using the TikTok app for all that too?
Yeah.
That seems like the easiest mobile platform to use, or CapCut.
Yeah, like a lot of guys use CapCut.
But yeah, no, I should do more reels. Like, we've been approached by a company called Jelly Smack, I think is what it was called. And so like all the videos you see of Larson's, Millennial Farmer, Laura Farms, all those that pop up on like Instagram Reels and Facebook, that company is taking a YouTube video and cutting it down and posting those. And they're actually pushing like they're paying to play or whatever you want, but they're like, what's the word? Promoting it, adding advertising so it gets pushed to a certain amount of people. So, and then once they recover their costs they've invested, they split that money with the creator. And
yeah,
it took some couple of our random videos, and I'm like, oh, those are boring videos. Like, why would you pick those ones? Like, and they're like, we don't know if there's quite enough, meat on the bone with the content right now, but we'll come back or whatever. And I still even get random emails about another company trying to do the same thing. So, but I don't know. I think AI is almost to the point where they'll give you, I saw some ads for, you can upload a YouTube video link to the AI deal, and they'll give you like 20 options for like a 3-minute video or 2-minute video or something like that.
That's one thing up here is on TikTok. I mean, we don't have there's no creator fund. There's zero money in TikTok for me here. So I have no idea. Well, I guess I'm a stubborn farmer. I'm the one that picks up a hobby that doesn't get paid for it. So I would never, I'd never promote a video unless I was getting paid by somebody on a product endorsement to promote that one.
Well, sure. Well, you can take your TikTok videos and save them and put them on Instagram, though, couldn't you? Facebook?
I think so. Yeah, Facebook can
monetize them that way.
Yeah, but then it's not becoming a hobby. Then it's becoming a job.
Yeah. That's like the Chevy stuff. I don't know if you saw like those reels and stuff we did for Chevy, where they gave us a pickup and we used it for whatever. Like that was work, because like I couldn't wear this hat in a Chevy ad because they're not affiliated. I could wear a Fast Egg stuff because I'm the creator or whatever, but so like we had to blur MacDon out of stuff. We had to blur the case on the side of the combine. So we had to get kind of creative how we filmed those and made them. And then it was like the first one I think took like 4 days worth of back and forth emails of, you got to change this, legal team needs you to change that. Like it was work, but that was an actual paid sponsorship deal by them. During election season, they lose all their ad spots because the political campaigns pay so much more for the ads, that the local Chevy dealer still have this money budgeted, and they went after quite a few different social media accounts or whatever and had them do their video, their advertising for them. Worked out really good. Well, they made it worth our time.
Well, that's good. And you got that fancy Kawasaki you were mentioning too in your last video. You got that 1-year demo on that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that's something that we get it. It's basically signed a lease that we give them content. They give us a side by side for the year, and then at the end of the year, I think they'd sell it to us at they call it VIP pricing or something like that. I don't even know exactly where it would be at, but could buy it at a discount. And that, we'll see how much I use it like during the summer, but that thing's like driving a pickup. Heat, AC, electric windows, like it's pretty cushy. I run back and forth to the new building with that all the time to go load trucks or go over there, do stuff. Like it's handy, comfortable.
I have a Can-Am Defender. I don't have AC, but it's got heat, power windows. It's comfortable. Like you said, it's just like a mini truck. I don't know how much I'll use it in the summer, but I put about 11 kilometers on it a day, so that shows you how much walking around the yard it saved me.
Yeah, and just like checking cows and carrying stuff across the yard and all that. I think I'm going to keep my little 60-gallon sprayer in the back of that Kawasaki all summer, and use our Can-Am around the farm because it's got the bigger box. But then if I got to go spray something, I'm ready to go.
Well, that's because That's the same thing I noticed there too. We got so many bin yards. You got to run up there, clean them up, and keep them nice and presentable. Because it's the one we didn't do, and I was hauling grain out there the other day, and it's most of ours are clean, but that one's full of snow just because the kochia got grown around the bins and made a mess.
Well, that sounds familiar.
I should have nuked that. Yeah.
Yeah, never had time. But if you had the side by side ready, or if you can just load it on a tilt trailer quick and run it around, spend half a day, but go spray the yards.
Well, that's one thing I notice up here where we farm is we seed. You get to near the end of May, you're should be done seeding. But if you started early with peas, you're in the crop spraying almost immediately. I find we don't have a lot of summer.
No, Dad pretty much washes out the sprayer from Roundup and is in the winter wheat.
Yep.
Like the same day.
Yep, so, I'm the same way.
And then it's go like crazy till about July 4th, and then it's hopefully catch up on combines and bin yard work and get to the lake a few times. We take every Sunday off, go to church and family day, and then go hit the lake in the summer. That's our recruit and get back to work when you're rejuvenated.
One of these days I'm going to join you down at Fort Peck down there and come for a ride on that boat.
Yeah, you should. See if we can get you surfing in Montana.
That's never happened before and never will happen. But I can sit there and ride shotgun pretty comfortably all day long.
Yeah, we grew up with elementary school, junior high age. Dad bought a boat, and so I grew up always on a boat, on the weekends whenever we could. And Amy and I lived on Fort Peck for 3 years after we got married, so we stole Dad's boat and kept it at our place. So we were at the lake, and then bought our own boat and started wakeboarding and tubing and stuff like that. And every time you wakeboard, the next 2 days you're sore. So the new thing is surfing, where you don't even use the rope, so you just kind of stand on the board and balance and get the balance figured out, and you could surf 10 miles and not be tired. So that's kind of the new thing. The girls all love that. That's our lake day. Is we've got the surf boat and all the kids jump in our boat. The other boats pull tubers and works out pretty good.
So you have one of them boats and you load all the water into it to sink it deep to make that big wake behind it?
Yep. Yeah, it's actually kind of like a hybrid where they took and put a reverse drive on an inboard outboard forewinds, and then they put 1,800 pounds of water in it. It doesn't make the big enough wake. I mean, it doesn't make a wake like the Natiques and Centurions make, but it's surfable, and it's like the gateway drug to get into a true surf boat. Get one of those. You want a real one. You want a bigger wake.
I got a buddy on Snapchat that's got one of them, and he always lines up all of his jerry cans in the back of the truck, loading them for the premium gas. And after he's all done, he's like, yeah, $400 in the lake today. Oh boy, they are a pricey one.
I've been trying to think of what ours burns per hour. So you run your lower unit all the way down, is how the forewinds is. You fill your ballast, and then there's like those wake tabs, or like the leveling tabs. So you put one of those tabs down, it tips your boat, it makes the one side go lower. And that's what makes the surf wave. I think when that thing, and it's wide open, and like 12 miles an hour is as fast as you can go with a 6.2 Chevy pinned. There's that much resistance. And so I think that thing burns 18 gallons an hour while you're surfing, or 15 gallons an hour or something like that. But those Natiques, like, they're the top of the line surf boat, or wakeboard boat. And the way that their hull is designed, they'll burn through 80 gallons of gas in like 4 to 6 hours on the lake. Like, it's unreal how much gas those things take.
If on flat ground, when I'm pulling that 80-foot drill, I like to stay around that 27, 28 gallons an hour. It's almost as efficient as your boat.
Yeah, it's nuts. I didn't know a gas engine could burn that much gallons per hour.
But the 6.2 Chevy's 400 horse. You keep a 400 horsepower pickup floored for a few miles, it's going to burn some fuel, but you'll get someplace.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. Definitely blessed to have it.
Well, and that's
don't take it for granted.
I mean, I only got the one daughter, and they're only young once, and you're watching your girls grow up fast too, and Tyler's got young ones there too, and you got to take every minute and every moment you can with them as precious as you can, because before you know it, you blink and they're going to be gone.
Yep. That's like, actually last summer was probably the first summer where we took a handful of just weekdays. Like, hey, Tim, I'm going to the lake today. You can stay home or you can come to the shop. I don't care what you do, but I'm not going to be here. And go, it's going to be 100 degrees out anyways. You might want to go find something better to do than work in the shops. But yeah, no, it's definitely a blessing.
You haven't AC'd your shop yet?
Oh, that's a funny story. Bought a window unit just to kind of figure out if we can get it cold at night, leave the doors open, cool it off, and then keep an AC unit going during the day. That'll help. And so I was away, and Dad and Tim put it in, and the fan shook inside of it. It was missing half of an impeller blade from brand new out of the box. And so they were supposed to send somebody out to fix it. I never got a call. Finally took it into town after seeding or after harvest was over. I kind of never even got to use the thing. I'm like, here's this air conditioner. No one ever showed up to fix it, to warranty it. Like, here, like, he can come do it here. And they're like, they never talked to you? And they're like, no one ever came out to do nothing with it. Come to find out, I never even knew, like, the guy had to do a bunch of research on the warranty end. The guy that was supposed to come out and fix it refused to drive out here to fix it, never notified me about it, and whatever. And I'm like, well, can you just mail me the part? Like, I can see the broken blade inside there. Like, I'll fix it. And he's like, oh, there's no parts for this. There's no parts available. Like, we'll just throw that one in the dumpster. We'll give you a new one. Like a $700 window air conditioner that they can't put a $25 3D printed blade and ship it out to me.
And how, that's bland obsolescence from the word go. I mean, how can something brand spanking new have no parts available? Like that.
I don't know.
Tyler, did you air condition your guys' shop?
No, we did not. But what we did is we put barn fans in it that are on a rheostat. So I think what we'll do in the evenings is we'll fire them fans up when we quit for the day, and it'll cycle all the cool air of the evening through that building. And then when we go there, we'll do the same thing, shut them down, keep the doors shut, and hopefully with the big cement slab in it, it'll stay cool during the day when it's hot out.
What are you heating it with?
In-floor heat with on propane.
Oh, on propane. That's the really tempting thing about ground source heat is that floor will be 50 degrees in the summertime when you flip that pump backwards.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if we ever do something with that new shed of ours, insulated and heated, like that's going to be a definite consideration.
So I talked to my plumber about that, about cooling the floor, and he said it would kind of turn into a hockey rink. You'd have moisture on the top. It'd always be wet. So I don't know, maybe there's somebody I can talk to that knows a little bit more about it, but I've talked to multiple people about it, and they've kind of all given me the same response.
Well, if you ran a couple of those big fans in the ceiling, I mean, you just think about turning a fan on in a bathroom and the mirrors dry off right away.
Mm-hmm.
I would think the same principle should apply in a shop.
I would think so.
I've never looked at it that way before, but it does make sense.
You put two of those, because you said, what, it's 160 long?
168 by 80.
Yeah, so you put 2 or 3 of those 10-foot ceiling fans up in there. It would also probably sweep your floor for you, push it all to the wall.
That's what I noticed with ours, with doors at both ends. You open that up at the wrong time, she's just a wind tunnel going through there.
And it gets hot like hurry in the summertime. Well, it's even like working on combines in the shop. It'd be 65 in there, shut it up at 7:38 in the morning, but it's like 95 in there by 2 in the afternoon with the doors closed. Even going in and out the walk-in doors a dozen times, like, doesn't take much and gets pretty hot.
I know our old shop stays nice and cold, but we do the same thing. Open the doors in the evenings and get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and shut all the doors, and then you're good. The other side of our shop is built to be heated shop, but it's still just cold storage, or in the summertime, hot storage. And same time, you get working in a combine in there with no air moving. You're working in the hopper or whatever, and you're just dripping. I mean, the guys on the ground think you're having a stroke. Well, it's hot as hell up here.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we got. One of those like 3-foot or 4-foot big round fans on the floor. And that helps, but yeah, it's no fun. I don't know how people did it before air conditioning. We're pretty spoiled.
So one thing we like to do on these podcasts is we like to let everybody know that's involved in ag, and not even involved in ag. There is help out there for you. It's called the Farm Stress Line. They're available here in Saskatchewan. You can talk to somebody who's a trained professional. They don't have call display. They don't even ask for your name. They're just there for you. Their number is 1-800-667-4442. They're there to help. Let's try and end this stigma of mental health in farming and in ag. We all want to go home. We have loved ones. There's even another place you can go to get a bunch of information. It's called Sask Ag Matters. There's a whole list of numbers there you can go to get help. There's even up to 6 hours of free counseling available if you feel like you need it.
Because, we're all in this together. I mean, right from the parts guy at the John Deere dealership to the farmer to the truck drivers. I mean, everything we do in agriculture is stressful, and we are in very stressful times. So, the stereotype of big, tough farmers and ranchers can't call that number has to come to an end. There's so many things more important than this career. Your family and everything is so much more important. So if you have things you can't deal with, you can't get off your chest, you can't sleep, it's bothering you, call that number. It's not very hard. They're not judgmental people. It's made to be there to help everybody get home at the end of the day and deal with all of this. And for the Montana viewers out there, I did a little research because Tony's got a pretty good following. There's the Farm Aid Hotline, which is 1-800-FARM-AID. That's 1-800-327-6243, and the Western Region Agriculture Stress Line, which is 1-406-587-3153. 406-587-3153. I assume them numbers are just as useful and helpful as ours are. So if you need it, call it. Don't be afraid. Don't be worried that somebody's going to judge you, because that's not what that's about. It's about making sure we all get through this tough times together.
In Dallas, I think that 1-800 number for the States is nationwide too, no matter where you're listening. And it probably, if you're calling from Canada, someone's going to answer that phone. So
yeah,
doesn't matter which one you go after.
No, because there's the 988 number. That's the national suicide number. That's pretty well worldwide, that one. And that's American, that's Canadian, I think that's even European, that one. So don't do anything. Just call that number.
No, do something. Call the number.
Yeah, do something and call that number. That's the good job.
I think what they say down here is, I'm trying to think of how they say that on the radio now, but it's okay to ask if you're okay, or if someone's okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
There you go. That's what it is. And if you're thinking someone's going to help you without asking, you're thinking wrong, because it might look just fine from the outside to everybody.
Yeah, you might be put on a pretty brave show. The stigmatism's got to end, because I even had a parts guy reach out to me there the one time and said, it's even being a parts man, and he's a great parts man. He said, it's stressful at my end too. I'm trying to get everybody, get their stuff, get them going. They got stuff to do, and he deals with stress at his end. And he's a decent, great parts guy, but everybody's in this together, right? From the parts guy to the farmer to the truck driver to the milk delivery man. We all in this together.
Yep. And stepping down from a job is no shame either. If it's stressing you out and you know that job's what's causing it, lots of jobs out there. It's the one you're in is not the only one you can do.
Oh yeah, there's lots. And so, Tony, are you hiring?
Am I hiring? I don't know. Do you work for free?
Yeah. For a lot of years.
That's true. Some years we do work for free. Most years we do.
Yeah, this last year we did. But I'd like to thank Tony for coming on and joining Tyler and I. This has been an excellent episode. I hope everybody out there listening and enjoying listening to these. We're having a boatload of fun making them. We got some great guests lined up, and we're going to keep making them. We're going to keep getting them better. Tyler, give you all the standing ovation for the hard work editing you do. So thank you, Tyler, for that. And thank you, Tony, for coming on and joining us. And we are the Bunny Hug Farmers on Spotify, and we'll see where this goes. But thanks, everybody.